Welcome everyone on KREM 2 Plus. We are coming to you today with a very exciting announcement, and that is after a nearly 8-month search, we are here today to announce a new evening anchor here at KREM 2, and that is Sydnee Scofield. Sydnee, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. This is kind of a bit of a homecoming for you of sorts.
Yeah, I'm from Spokane, born and raised in Liberty Lake, and I left when I graduated high school and turned 18 and went off to college in Arizona. And I did come back for a while. I worked for another station in town for a couple of years, but this is where all of the people that I love live, so I'm very excited to be home.
Yeah, and like I said, excited to have you. Tell us about growing up in the Inland Northwest and what made you want to return.
Yeah, growing up, I mean, this is such an amazing, you know this,
Yeah.
It's such an amazing place to live. It's so cool to be outside most days of the year. You've got all kinds of cool winter sports and all kinds of cool summer sports, and fall and spring is so gorgeous here. So that's a huge draw. Plus growing up in Liberty Lake, that was a cool place to grow up. So I love this area so much, and I love the people here so much. It really is home to me. But also, my mom lives here, my aunts live here, my brother and his amazing wife and their kids live here. And so it's incredible to be back in an area with so many people that I love.
Yeah, one of the difficult things about working in broadcast is kind of when you start out, you're bouncing around a lot.
Yes.
And so you're away from family most of the year.
Yeah.
And you're taking vacations to go see your family.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to live somewhere where your family's here and you don't have to take time off to see your family.
That's so true. It was so fun being able to be home for the holidays this year because it's been a while since I've had the chance to do that. So it's the best to be able to finally be home.
Let's talk about your journey a bit. Where'd you go to high school?
So I went to Central Valley High School.
Okay.
Go Bears. I went to Central Valley, and then I ended up going to Arizona State. I went to the Walter Cronkite School, and then I have bounced around a bunch since then.
Yeah, previous stops in Reno, correct?
Yep, I started in Reno.
Okay.
Started in Reno, and then I took a little bit of a side quest off of news.
Yeah.
I worked for the Portland Rose Festival in Portland for a while.
Very cool.
And then I came back to Spokane. I worked at another station for a couple of years. Then I went to Colorado Springs, worked there. Then I moved to Raleigh and worked there for a while. And now finally I'm back home.
We've both worked in Colorado Springs.
That's
during our
right.
careers. Yeah,
That's right.
A lovely place.
Yeah, it is beautiful there.
When you were in high school, let's talk about the Lilac Queen, because you were involved in that, correct? You were a Lilac Queen.
Yes, I was the Lilac Queen when I was in high school. It was an incredible opportunity, and I learned so much. And I think something that was really cool about that, too, is you really got the chance to see the Inland Northwest in just a different lens. I think when you grow up somewhere, it's easy to kind of take it for granted. And then when I got the chance to be involved with the Lilac Festival and to meet all of the incredible people that you get to meet when you're a part of that organization, I really got to see Spokane just in a new light. You become an ambassador for the city. You go to lots of other places. The year I did it, we actually got to go to China,
Wow.
which was so cool, and represent Spokane with our sister city, Jilin City in China. And so when you start to tell other people why the place is so great, you start to better understand why the place is so great.
100%.
Yeah.
And also, I think you were 17 at the time you said,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of a bit of a daunting task because it involves a lot of public speaking and community engagement.
Yes.
Things, right?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking for sure at first. I mean, you're 17, 18 years old, and you're addressing hundreds of people several times a month, during your year that you're involved with it. And at first it's a little spooky. And then over time, just like anything else, the more you do it, the easier it gets. That's actually the first time I met Laura Papetti, too. She was emceeing an event for the Lilac Festival, and I got to sit next to her and pick her brain about broadcasting. So.
And probably prepared you a bit for broadcasting.
It did.
Right?
Yeah, it did. I got to meet a lot of people in the broadcast industry. It was the first time I was ever live on the air, So, and I think I kind of caught the bug through the Lilac Festival. Yeah. And here we are today.
There we go. Arizona State University is where you went to
Yes.
college, and you studied journalism, broadcast there, correct?
Yeah.
So you've known for quite some time you wanted to be in this line of work.
Yes, since I was very little, I used to watch the news with my parents, and I remember when I was little growing up, my dad used to say, "Oh, you could do that one day," and I think that was kind of the first time for me that I thought, "Oh, yeah, I could do that,"
Yeah.
And not to be a little heavy, but my dad passed away about 10 years ago, and it still feels so cool to be on the air. He passed away a few months before I went on the air for the first time, but every time I'm live, I kind of feel like I'm making him proud a little.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's a very cool way to still kind of feel connected to him after all this time, because he really encouraged me to do this from a very young age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a very cool story, very cool thing. let's talk about a couple of things that you've done between, I guess, outside of news. You're also on the board of a nonprofit, correct?
Yeah. So a nonprofit, it's a long name, but it's called the National Women's Coalition Against Violence and Exploitation. For short, we call it NWCAVE.
Okay.
And I'm the director of communications for them. And that group is incredible because they really work to meet people right where they are when they're victims of trafficking, exploitation, domestic violence, things like that. The work that they do it's such a grassroots organization, and whatever the person needs in that moment, they're there. Like in that role, I got the chance to sit with a family as they went through a trial for their daughter who was murdered, and they just needed some support and some advocacy. And I had the opportunity to sit with them through the entire trial and help them understand the court process and make sure they had everything that they needed. And if something was, too difficult to listen to in the moment, they could step out and I could catch them up later. But they just do such an incredible job with advocacy for people who really need it all across the country. So I have been really grateful to work with NWCAVE and with Michelle Bart, who runs the organization. And as the director of communications, I get to do a lot of media strategy for them for the different cases across the country and help them, make sure that we're advocating for people who don't always have a voice. Yeah. So it's been a really incredible opportunity, and I'm excited to be closer to the headquarters of that organization here and to continue to work with
just
them.
on the other side of the state.
Yeah.
What kind of draws you that line of work, just to be helpful a little bit? What drew you to that?
Yeah, so I started covering crime almost exclusively when I was working in Colorado Springs, and it was the first time, I feel like that's when I really felt in my element covering crime, because I felt like I was able to make the most impact. And I think from there, seeing all of the different aspects of the criminal justice system and the different ways that, the different gaps that exist and the different ways that it touches people's lives, it just became something that I became really passionate about. And I wanted to help outside of the line of work where we can help amplify the voices of people who need that. And there's a version of advocacy within journalism. Being able to do that in my spare time as a volunteer has just been really rewarding, I think.
Yeah. I think there's a misconception maybe about news anchors that we just show up and read the news, right? We're just talking heads.
Yes.
That's certainly not the case at KREM. We get out in the community and report and do journalism quite often.
Yeah.
What draws you, I guess, is that part of what drew you to this job here?
Absolutely. And I love the way that KREM is kind of always trying new things and trying to really meet people where they are as news and technology continues to change. But certainly, I'm not going to be an anchor who's behind the desk all the time. I really like to be out there and meeting people and telling your stories. And I do think, too, this is true anywhere that I've lived, but especially being from here. When we're telling people's stories, the chance that we have a small degree of separation between us and the person we're talking about is probably pretty high. Right. So, when I'm giving happy news or when I'm giving sad news, it really hits close to home for me that this is a neighbor or possibly a friend of a friend or a friend. Right. And so I think if we're doing a good job as journalists, we're helping people realize the world is a lot smaller than they might think it is.
If I've learned anything about Spokane in my time here, about 10 years so far, it's that there's like 1 degree of separation in this community, right? But even just having the background, the history, the context of the Inland Northwest is so helpful as a journalist, right? Yeah,
I think so. And it's cool to... this is just a small thing, but I don't need a GPS to get to work. I know how to get here, And I know if we're talking about, this is happening in the Valley, or this is happening in Deer Park, or in Colville. I know where all these places are. I've been there, and so I think stepping into this role, even though I'm new here at KREM, I feel like I really have a deep understanding of this region and what people care about here.
Yeah, which is important. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about you outside of work and separate from work. What are some things you like to do in your free time?
Yeah, I love being outdoors. Yeah. I love hiking. I love skiing. I grew up ski racing on Mount Spokane, which was really fun.
It's snowing today.
I know. It's so exciting to finally get some snow. So I love that. I love being out on the lake. And I also love cooking and reading and staying indoors too. And I love a good jigsaw puzzle. I have a crazy, crazy dog named Gravy. She's a German short-haired pointer. Okay. She keeps me very busy, so we're outside a lot. But she's the light of my life.
Those dogs have a ton of energy.
They do. And even at 8 years old, she's still really active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine so.
Keeps me on my toes.
The ski racing,
Yes.
you did that as a child?
Yeah, I did that growing up. I was not ever very good at it, but it was really fun. And it was a good, I didn't grow up doing kind of traditional sports. I grew up ski racing, and I was really big into dance. So I did ballet and jazz and that kind of stuff. But it was a great, it was a great opportunity to learn how to ski, and now I ski whenever I get a chance.
Well, I'm picturing a segment with you and Jeremy, because Jeremy's a very avid skier and grew up ski racing as well.
Yeah.
So maybe a future story there.
Yes, that could be really fun.
All right. So you've actually worked in Spokane, as we touched on before, and you've worn several different hats, not just Anchor the News, but doing other assignments as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I have kind of run the gambit in the newsroom of doing all different kinds of jobs at all different stations. So I have done weather. I did weather for a couple of years. I did weather in Spokane, so people may remember that. I have been mostly a reporter for a lot of my career. Storytelling is really kind of my one true love. And I've anchored. I've had to do a little sports a couple of times, which was not pretty, but we did get through it. And yeah, I've produced a bit, so I've kind of done a lot of different jobs in the newsroom. In my first market, I had the chance to work under some really experienced journalists. And so there were some days where I was just their photographer and I didn't report. I was just learning from them, and that was a really cool learning experience. So yeah, I've done a lot of different things in the news, and I'm really excited to continue trying new things here.
If you tell our bosses you can do other things, they might make you do
Okay,
it,
so
though.
maybe we pretend I didn't say that.
Right. Let's switch gears a bit again, and let's go through some rapid fire questions so people can get to know you more.
Oh, lightning round. Okay.
Yeah, lightning round here. What's one fact about you that people might be surprised to learn?
I'm left-handed.
Okay.
Is that something?
No, that's interesting. My son is also left-handed.
Okay.
So when you write on paper, do you kind of like curve your hand so you're kind of smudging what you write?
No.
Just
Nope,
normal?
I'm writing, but the left-hand smudge is the thing. You
Yeah.
will notice this part of my hand does get a lot
It's
of
challenge, right?
ink on it.
But
Yeah.
they say like left-handed people are more intelligent. I've heard that before.
I'll take it.
There we go. All right. What's on your go-to Spotify list?
Go to Spotify. I like a lot of different music. I listen to a lot of like doo-wop music, like older music.
Yeah.
And jazz too, but kind of the go-to always is maybe like more folksy country, like Tyler Childers kind of vibe. Yeah.
Do you find this is kind of the case for me? My parents listened to music all the time when I was growing up, and it was usually like classic rock, like Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
Billy Joel, things like that. I find myself listening to that often because of that.
Yeah.
Is that the case with you too?
Yeah, and my parents were a little bit older when
Okay.
I was born. My dad was 45 when I was born, so I had older parents.
Yeah.
And the music that I grew up listening to was like Rolling Stones and Beatles and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and I love that now. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, next question. Favorite binge watch show?
Okay.
Aside from KREM 2.
Of course, aside from KREM 2. I have been watching a lot of Gilmore Girls lately with my mom,
Yeah.
but I do also, my guilty pleasure show is Supernatural.
Yeah. Aired on the CW.
On the
correct?
CW,
Perfect.
yeah.
Which KREM 2 airs on as well.
Okay,
So there we
great
go.
news.
All right, go-to karaoke song.
I am horrendous at karaoke.
Same.
And if you catch me doing karaoke, something has gone horribly wrong in the
Same.
evening. But Under the Boardwalk, I have
Okay.
been caught doing karaoke doing that song
That's a good
couple
one.
of times.
You got that one down.
Yeah. It's
All right.
not a hard song to sing.
Best concert or live show you've ever been to?
I think so. I saw the Avett Brothers twice at Red Rocks, and it was incredible. It was very cool. When I lived in Colorado, it was
Yeah.
easy to go to that venue. But the first concert I ever saw in a floor-length denim dress was I was like 10. Neil Diamond with my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool.
pretty cool.
That's a good first concert.
Yeah, it was.
Unusual talent or skill that you have?
This is a hard one.
That's a hard question.
I don't know. I mentioned jigsaw puzzles earlier. I am really quite good at puzzles.
Yeah.
Which is not a helpful skill ever.
Do you start like border and then work your way in, or what's your strategy?
Border. I gotta go border. Yeah.
I often get frustrated by puzzles.
I find a lot of people do.
Yes.
Maybe if I ever go on Survivor one day,
It'll
it
come
could
in
be
handy.
helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
But I can't think of any other time.
Oh man. All right, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I think teleporting would be really cool.
Really?
Because I do hate just the act of traveling.
Yeah.
Like I would like
The
to
process
just
of
be
it.
somewhere.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I hate, like I don't mind flying, like being on a plane and flying, but just the whole act of like getting up early and going to the
Yeah.
airport and going through security, can't stand it.
Okay, so when you go to the airport, are you like a 2 hours early person or a 30-minute person?
I used to be a 30-minute person,
Okay.
but I became a dad, and something weird
Sure.
happened where I'm like, we need to get there 3 hours ahead of time, and everyone's mad at me, but I'm like, nope, we're doing it.
Just
And then-
full dad mode
Yeah,
immediately.
just full dad mode. Then I got to walk by my gate to make sure it's the correct gate. And I'm like, okay, now we can get coffee and relax. Not you. What about you?
No, I'm kind of the same. I like
Okay.
to get there kind of early. I like to get a cup of coffee. I like to sit and not be rushed.
Yeah.
It's nice.
We talked in this initially about this is kind of your homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Is your mom excited to have you home?
Oh my gosh. If you run into a woman in Spokane who seems very excited all the time, it's probably my mom. She's so excited. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited too. I mean, in news, you never really know where you're going to end up.
Right.
And I kind of always intended to come back to Spokane, but it's very, very exciting to be able to spend so much time with my mom. She's kind of my best friend, and so getting to see her all the time is very cool.
Well, I'm excited for the both of you.
Yeah.
My parents just moved here from Oregon 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it's strange because the first time, really in my adult life, I live in the same city as my parents.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I can just walk to their house now.
Yeah, you can. And
It's-
then they moved pretty close to you.
Yeah, a block away.
Amazing.
I know, it's been quite the change. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy for that. Let's talk about the shows you'll be on. So
Okay.
we're launching a new show today,
Yes.
and that's from 5:30 to 6.
Yeah.
And
On KREM 2 Plus and KSCAN.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Mm-hmm. And so you'll solo anchor that show, and then Jeremy will be on weather with you, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really excited for the 5:30. You know, it's a new show and we're going to have fun. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you'll join me for the 6 p.m. show, the 6 to 7.
Yes.
That would be a good time.
Yeah.
And then you're going to continue on to do the KREM 2 Night Report.
Right.
Yeah.
Which means you get your nights back.
It's been a long time.
I know. Yeah.
Well, I'm personally, I know everyone here is excited to have you on board. We're thrilled that you're from here, you're a great journalist, and we're just excited to have a good addition to the team. It's been quite a while.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here, and I think it's going to be really fun. I hope to be here for a very long time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm home. There's just nothing better than doing your dream job in your hometown.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Hey, if folks want to reach out to you, email is the best way, you think?
I think email.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if yours is set up yet at the station or not. but-
It is. It
Okay,
is.
perfect.
I was going through it today. I logged in, and there were so many emails already. So
all the
yes.
station ones here.
But I am on email, and social media is an easy way to reach out to.
For sure.
But I am really excited to be able to tell people stories. So if you've got a good story and there's something you want to get out there, reach out to me, and we'll see what we can make happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sydnee Scofield, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus. Sydnee will be joining us every weekday, Monday through Friday, 5:30 to 6, 6 to 7, and again for the KREM 2 Night Report. Thanks for watching.